You open your eyes to the suffocating smell of damp earth and rotting wood. A relentless dry cough tears at your lungs, dragging you from a shallow and restless sleep. You are not in a house as we understand it today. You are lying in a cramped dark hollow carved out of the freezing earth. In the year 900 AD, for a humble peasant in England, a home is not built upon the land, but within it. It is a pit-dug chest, deep into the soil, with a crude roof of rotting thatch pulled over your head. Historians call this a sunken house or a Grubenhaus, but to you, it is simply a damp cage where you wait for the sun to rise. Look up at the ceiling. Cold droplets of water seep through the blackened straw, landing on the back of your neck like icy needles. There are no windows here, no glass to keep out the bite of the morning wind. The only light comes from a faint gray sliver creeping through the cracks in the wall, illuminating the thick clouds of dust and soot dancing in the stagnant air. In the center of the room, a small fire smolders in a shallow hearth. There is no chimney to guide the smoke away. It has no escape, swirling around the room like a restless ghost before slowly drifting through the gaps in the thatch above. Every breath you take is a thick, choking mixture of wood smoke and ash. Your lungs are permanently stained by this gray haze, and your eyes are forever bloodshot, stinging from the acrid fumes that never leave this pit. Now breathe in deeply and feel the weight of the stench. It is not just the smell of unwashed human bodies. It is the overwhelming, heavy odor of livestock huddled just a few feet away, separated only by a thin, fragile wall of woven branches. To survive the brutal winters of the 10th century, you must share your living space with the cows and the pigs. Their body heat is your only source of warmth, a necessary gift of survival that comes with the price of their filth and the swarms of parasites they bring into your very bed. As you push yourself up from your thin layer of damp straw, thousands of fleas and lice begin their daily feast on your skin. The itching is no longer something you fight. It is a constant, humming background noise to your entire existence. You reach for a crude clay jug in the corner and take a long sip of water. It is ice cold, tasting of moss and silt. It wets your dry throat for a moment, but it also carries the invisible invaders that will soon nest in your gut. As you crawl out of your sleeping pit, the thirst in your throat feels like a desert, but you do not reach for a cup of fresh water. In the year 900 AD, fresh water is a myth, a beautiful lie that leads only to a slow and painful death. The streams that run past your village and the shallow wells you have dug are thick with the runoff of livestock and the waste of the community. To drink this water is to invite an army of parasites and fever into your blood. Diarrhea, cramps, and deadly infections hide in every drop that looks clear. For the people of the 10th century, water is not the source of life. It is a silent killer. And so, to survive, you must turn to the only safe alternative. You reach for a wooden cup of small ale. It is a thin, sour, and cloudy liquid, brewed from the leftover husks of grain. It is not a drink of celebration. It is a drink of survival. Because the water is boiled during the brewing process and the light presence of alcohol kills the deadliest of germs, this ale is the only thing that keeps you hydrated. You drink it for breakfast. You drink it at noon under the scorching sun, and you give it to your 5-year-old son, whose small body cannot handle the toxins of the river. Your entire village lives in a permanent low-level fog from mild intoxication. It is not enough to make you stumble, but just enough to dull the sharp edges of your reality. It acts as a mild painkiller for the grinding ache in your joints and a veil over the crushing poverty of your life. Every task you perform, every word you speak is filtered through this thin layer of fermentation. But even this liquid shield is not perfect. Within your stomach, unseen worms are already thriving, stealing the precious nutrients from the small amount of food you manage to eat. This is why, despite the labor you perform, your limbs are thin and your skin is pale and sickly. You are a host to a hidden world of scavengers, and they are eating you from the inside out. Your mind is a haze of slight drunkenness and constant dull pain from your bloated stomach. This is the biological reality of your era. There is no such thing as a truly healthy body in 900 AD. There is only the struggle to keep moving while your insides are at war. Now, with your head swimming and your gut aching, you must prepare yourself for the backbreaking war against the soil. With your mind clouded by the morning ale, you reach for your only food for the long day ahead. It is a dense, dark loaf made of rye, barley, and the seeds of wild weeds. To a modern eye, it looks like a rustic treat, but to you, this bread is a slow-acting weapon that wears away at your very body. In the year 900 AD, every meal comes with a hidden physical cost that you must pay with your own flesh and bone. Hold this bread in your hand. It is not light or airy. It is as heavy as a stone, and for a very good reason. The grain has been ground between two primitive millstones made of coarse sandstone. As these stones rub together, they do not just crush the grain. They shed thousands of microscopic shards of sharp sand and grit into the flour. There is no way to filter it out. The stone becomes part of the bread. As you take a bite, listen to the sound inside your head. It is the sickening, rhythmic crunch of sand grinding against your tooth enamel. This is not a metaphor. It is the literal destruction of your dental health. By the time you reach your 25th year, your molars will be worn flat, polished down to the sensitive pink pulp and the raw nerves beneath. Dental infections and rotting teeth are not a rare tragedy. They are an inevitable part of growing old in the 10th century. Every chew is a gamble, a painful necessity that allows you to live another day while slowly destroying your ability to eat. But there is no time to dwell on the ache in your jaw. The sun is rising, and the vast, heavy fields of the manor are waiting. You must lead 8 massive oxen to the edge of the strip fields. Before you lies the heavy plow, the car uka. This is the cutting edge of 10th century technology, a massive wooden frame tipped with a small, precious amount of iron. It is designed to turn the thick, wet clay of England, but it requires a level of strength that would break a modern man. The labor begins. You must lean your entire weight into the plow handles, driving the wooden blade deep into the resistant earth. The mud of England is a living enemy. It clings to your boots, adding 10 pounds of weight to every step. It splashes into your eyes and mixes with your sweat until you are indistinguishable from the soil you work. You are not simply walking. You are engaged in a wrestling match with the planet itself. As the 8 oxen strain against their harnesses, the muscles in your back and shoulders scream in protest. The wooden handles of the plow, smoothed by years of use, still bite into your calloused palms, opening old wounds and creating new ones. You will spend 10 to 12 hours in this state of total physical exhaustion. By noon, you will have burned through 5,000 calories, yet your stomach contains only a few scraps of that sandy bread and a liter of sour ale. Your body is forced to consume itself, burning its own fat and muscle just to keep the plow moving. This is the relentless cycle of your existence. You break the earth so that it may provide grain, yet you must give the best of that grain to the Lord and the Church. You are the engine of the medieval world, a biological machine fueled by grit and sour beer, grinding yourself away one row at a time. The horizon of your world is not the distant sea or the great cities. It is the end of this muddy row and the 1,000 rows that must follow it before the sun finally sets. Now lift your eyes from the muddy row and look toward the wooden hall standing on the hill. It is the largest structure you will ever see, but it is not a place of refuge. That hall is the watchtower of a great machine, a place where your sweat is converted into gold and your life is reduced to a single entry in a record book. In the year 900 AD, you are not an individual with dreams. You are a unit of production, a biological asset owned by the land and the man who claims to protect it. You are called a churl, a free peasant. But in this era, freedom is a heavy burden, a cruel joke played by the powerful. Your freedom means you have the right to work yourself to death to pay for the right to exist. For half of every year, you do not work for your family or your own hunger. You work the Lord's land, building his walls and filling his grain storage. This is not a choice. To refuse is to face the whip, or worse, to be cast out. In the 10th century, to be an outcast is a death sentence. Without the protection of the manor, you are nothing more than prey for the wolves and the raiders lurking in the shadows. The most chilling reality of your life is written in the law codes of King Alfred. It is called the Wergild, the price of a man's blood. In this world, justice is not about right or wrong. It is about debt and compensation. If you are injured in a brawl or an accident, the law does not care about your pain. It only cares about the cost to repair the damage to the Lord's asset. The law code is a gruesome catalog of body parts, each with a specific price tag. A front tooth is worth 6 shillings, a thumb is worth 20, an eye is worth more, but only because a blind man cannot plow. Your entire life has a fixed price, 200 shillings. This is the sum that must be paid to your family if you are murdered. But look again at the hall on the hill. The nobleman who sits there is worth 1,200 shillings, exactly 6 times your value. In the eyes of the law, your life is worth a mere fraction of his. If you cannot pay a fine for a crime you committed, you do not go to a cell. You are sold into slavery, your body literally becoming the property of the man you owed. Taxes are the chains that bind your stomach. Every harvest, the church demands the tithe, taking 1/10 of everything you have grown before you can even taste it. Then comes the Lord, taking his vast share as rent for the very dirt under your fingernails. By the time the tax collectors have finished, you are left with barely enough grain to survive the winter. This is not an accident of history. The system is designed to keep you on the razor's edge of starvation, just strong enough to work another season, but too weak to ever dream of rebellion. And finally, there is the Fyrd, the call to war. When the dragon ships appear on the horizon, you are forced to drop your plow and pick up a rusted spear or a blunt axe. You are not a warrior. You are a farmer who has spent his life fighting the soil, not men. Yet, you will be placed in the front rank of the shield wall, acting as a human barrier for the armored nobles behind you. The law does not see a father or a son. It sees a disposable shield, a piece of meat to blunt the enemy's blade. You are the fuel that keeps the kingdom burning, consumed by a system that knows your price but never your value. Now, the sun begins to dip below the horizon of the year 900 AD. The freezing mist rises from the marshlands, and the heavy shadows of the 10th century close in around your small, damp pit. Before we leave this place, look once more at your hands. Not the scarred, mud-stained hands of the peasant you have inhabited for the last 20 minutes, but your own hands. There is a direct, unbroken line of blood and bone stretching from you back to the people who stood in this very mud. You are the miracle they never had the time to dream of. In this era, survival was not a given right. It was a daily, desperate triumph over the void. Every morning that a peasant woke up and drew breath was a victory against the cold, the hunger, and the silent killers hiding in the water. Think of the luxuries you possess that would seem like the magic of the gods to a man of the year 900. Where should we travel next to find the edge of human survival? Which era, which frozen mountain, or which sun-scorched desert would you like to experience? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. The most requested destination will be our next journey into the heart of the past. Thank you for walking through the mud with us today.